Episode 26. This is getting exciting now, isn't it? Habit 3. We've seen the habits of highly effective people from Stephen Covey, about this whole begin with the end in mind that we did in yesterday. Have a mental model where you create it first in your mind and then you create it in the real world. And the first habit, to be proactive, take responsibility, become independent first before we become interdependent. But habit number 3 is one that I love them all, but it made such an effect on me when I saw Stephen Covey demonstrate it. I'm going to try and find a link to the video that I saw, and it's about put first things first. And he talks about these quadrants where we've got the important in our life and the urgent. And the great news is the really important stuff is probably the stuff you're not doing. Why is that great news? Because today we're going to come to terms with that. So there are things that you've been promising yourself that you will do that you know is important, but there's so much urgent stuff going on in your life that gets your attention. Put first things first. And the first things are those things which are important but not urgent. The things which are urgent and important we need to manage. The things which are urgent but not important we need to really delegate if we can and get rid of as soon as we possibly can. The stuff that's not urgent, not important, we need to avoid completely. You know, Netflix and Amazon Prime, love them. They're not urgent, they're not important. If you really want to excel in life, to be a highly effective person, you've got to put first things first. For those of you with a faith, that's like seeking first the kingdom. Always first the kingdom. And what Covey did is he got some sand and some gravel and some pebbles and some rocks, identical sets, and 2 jars. And what you do first of all is you put the sand in, which is the stuff that's not urgent and not important. And then you put some little shingle in, and that's the stuff that's kind of urgent but not important. And then you put the pebbles in, which is the stuff that's urgent and important. It really does need to have some attention. And then you find there's no space for the rocks. And then with the same quantity of materials, what he does is he puts the rocks in first, which is like your relationships with the people who are significant in your life. It's like looking after yourself. It's like really looking after the prosperity of your soul, your mind, your mental models, your mind, your will and your emotions. Investing in you, the big rock stuff. And he put these rocks in first. And then he put the pebbles in and shook it up. And then he put the shingle in and shook it up. And there was still room. And then he put the sand in and shook it up. And there was still room, incredibly. And then he poured some water in, and I like to joke there's always space in your life for beer or wine, if you get your priorities right. But it's only when we put first things first, because we are heading at 168 hours per week. That's the speed, 168 hours per week. Boom! Into a wall of limitation. There is no way around that. You only have 168 hours a week. It's not 168 miles per hour, but it's like that. Kaboom! You've got 168 hours per week. That's the speed of time. And unless we put first things first, unless we make a serious commitment to putting first the stuff in our life that's important but not urgent, that 168 hour jar will be filled to the point where we cannot do those things that we know which are important but that we know we ought to do. Ought in a good use there. Very rarely use the word ought, but it's good ought. And that means developing a time management system, which we'll go into in some of the other episodes, where you put the rocks in first, the important but not urgent, into your diary as if non-negotiable. And then you put around that the important and the urgent, the pebbles. And then you will find space, if you need to, for the shingle, the stuff that's urgent but not important. And maybe you'll have some time for Netflix and Amazon Prime and beer and wine, but they are not the priorities when we put first things first. I want you to know that you are one of my firsts. I put you first. This is my day off, but I'm still recording the video because I believe it's important to be consistent about what we really believe in and value and cherish. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this. For those of you who are supporting me as well, big thank you. I want to do more and more and more to transform this wonderful world in which we live. Clearly I'm not down the churchyard today. We're about to have another storm, I think, and there's the drops of rain already. Quite funnily, the camera has a little hat on it at the moment, keeping it dry. And I hope that today you will hear, apart from the motorcycle, the importance of this message and the excitement of this message. That if you really decide, I'm going to put first things first, then the other stuff finds its place. But if you get distracted by Facebook and Netflix and all the other stuff, I'm going on, aren't I? It won't happen. It will never happen. You've got to put first things first. So there you are. Habit 3, if we want to be independent, we need to be proactive. Habit 1, we need to begin with the end in mind. Habit 2, and take action on a daily basis by putting things in order, which means first things first. Love always finds the answer. Have a great weekend.